Okay, like I said, we don't usually go over, where I usually don't record the homeworks on here, but I thought it would be a good time to do it now since there's so many people out. So let's do, I'm looking at 9 through 12. So this is 7, 5A. You had to do 5 through 12. I just read off all the answers. So, but I'm going to go over 9 through 12 on 7, 5A. All right, it all deals with this one picture, and it's a pentagon. It's a regular pentagon. So let me put a regular pentagon up right there. So let's scooch it here so we can make it a little bit bigger. That should be good enough. All right, and there's the center. And they draw a bunch of stuff. Yeah, it looks like they draw every radius to it. So let's draw them all. And there we go. All right, and they label it WXY or VWXYZ. So V, W, X, Y, and Z. And the center, what do they call that? C. And then we've been kind of making the apothem red, so let's stick with that color scheme here. So there's the apothem. You know it's the apothem because it's a right angle. Now they put a dotted line there. It's fine. They could have put a straight line, but I guess it's just to make it stand out. I made it red just to stand out a little bit. All right, and one more thing. They call that point right there M. Okay, so there it is. So what do they ask for on number 9? They ask you to solve for angle WCX. Angle WCX. And that's all they tell you. Okay, they don't give you any numbers or anything. All right, this is all they give you, and you got to find an angle. All right, let's do that in a different color. Let's find where WCX is. Well, there's W, there's C, and there's X. Everybody see that? So that's the angle that you're trying to find. You got to know that first of all. Well, it's one of my central angles, isn't it? How many central angles do I have altogether? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 of them. 5 sides, 5 angles, okay? So if I got 5 sides, which I do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that means I got 5 central angles. Everybody see that? So what do all those angles add up to be? What if I went from here and I went all the way to there? They add up to what? 360. But I only want to find one of them. And all those angles are equal to each other, right? Every one of those central angles are equal to each other. So what do I do with that 360? I divide it by 5 because I got 5 of them, right? There's one here, one here, one here. There's that whole one right there and this one right here. So I divide it by 5 because they're all the same. So 360 divided by 5 is, I think it's 72. Yep, and that's what they ask, okay? They just ask for that angle, and that's what it is, 72. Everybody okay with that, right? Everybody should be able to do that, okay? You should be able to find the central angle of any regular polygon. You just take 360 divided by how many sides you have. That's it, all right? Write it down. Number 10 says find the angle CXW. Angle CXW. Look, you got the same letters. Does that mean it's the same angle? Nope. So let's find where CXW is. We'll keep it in blue. So there's C, there's X, there's W. So what angle am I trying to find? I'm trying to find that angle right there. Okay? Remember that? We also remember from yesterday, hopefully, that all the radii are equal to each other. So that side right there and that side right there are equal to each other. So look at this triangle. I'm just looking at this one triangle right here. If these two sides are equal, that means the opposite angles are equal. So if this angle has 2 arcs, then this angle has 2 arcs. So these 2 angles will be equal to each other. Right? And that's important for what we're going to do next. If they're exactly the same, remember this one was 72, wasn't it? How do I find the other 2? Well, Okay, so let's find what these two angles add up to be. All right, not each of them just yet. Let's find out what they have to add up to be. So all three of these angles add up to 180. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 180 minus 72. And that's what, 108? Is that right? 108. Does that mean this angle right here is 108 and this angle is 108? No, there's no way, because that would mean that's 216. There's no way two angles can add up to 216 degrees in a triangle. But remember, they're equal to each other. They add up to 108. So if they're both exactly the same, what do I do to find both of them? Just divide it by 2. And there you go. You get 54 degrees. And that's the answer. All right, so this angle right here is what they're asking for. Okay, CXW, that is 54 degrees. That's pretty simple, isn't it? First one's really easy. 360 divided by how many sides you had. So 360 divided by 5, put it in a calculator, and you get 72. The next one, you had to think a little bit. All right, remember, these two have to be the same because they're opposite equal sides. And so I take 72 away from 180, get 108. That means these two add up to 108. They're both exactly the same. So how do I find each one of them? Just divide it by 2. Boom. You got it. So everybody should be able to get that one. All right. The next one might be a little tougher. I don't know, maybe not. So let's see what they give us here. So all that stuff is true for numbers 11 and, well, yeah, for 11 and 12, because they're still talking about the Pentagon. So let's do number 11. Number 11 says if the, or find the Pentagon's area. So we're finding the area of that Pentagon. Find the area. We just did this yesterday, so you should know this, or at least you should be able to look in your notes and find it. What is the area of a regular polygon? Remember how to find the area of a regular polygon? Yep, it's 1/2. You got it. 1/2 times A times P. What does the A represent? The apothem. What is the P? That's the perimeter. That's the distance around the whole thing. Now, I don't know any lengths here, so they tell you a couple things. They tell you that CM is equal to 10. CM is equal to 10. We're going to look at that in a second after I write this next thing down. And WX is 11.8. WX equals 11.8. All right, so let's put those on our picture. The CM, where's CM? It's this thing right here. So really, what is the CM? CM is the what in my little formula here? Is it CM? From here to here is the perimeter? It's the A, it's the apothem, isn't it? So CM is the apothem, so I can put the number here. That's 10. It's 10 centimeters. I didn't write that in there, but we'll put that in at the end, okay? So that's 10. What is WX? WX is 11.8. Where is WX? WX right here is 11.8, which means, what can I find if I know that's 11.8? So each side is 11.8. So what do? Look at my formula. Everybody look here. They give me the apothem, so I can just stick in a 10 right there. They don't give me the perimeter, but they give me one of the sides. So they give me, so how do you find the perimeter? The perimeter is 11.8 times what? How many sides you have. And how many sides do you have on this? You got 5. All right, so let me put that in. I don't know what that is off the top of my head, so I'll use my calculator. 11.8 times 5, and that's 59. All right, so the perimeter is 59. So we're ready to put it all together and find the area. So let's do it. So area equals 1/2 times the apothem. What's the apothem? 10. Right there. That's the apothem. Times the perimeter. Well, we just found the perimeter. How did I find the perimeter? I took one of the sides, multiplied it by 5, and I got 59. Okay? And then you plug that into a calculator. You can do the first part, half of 10. Do that in your head. What's half of 10? 5. And then times 59, and that gives you 295. Where are you going? Right in the middle of my problem? Well, it is at the end of the problem. I guess it's not the middle. All right. And you're almost done. What did I say this was in? Centimeters? Yep. So make sure you put your unit here so it's centimeters squared. Technically, I probably should have put a centimeters in for this and a centimeters in for that, but we know it's in centimeters, so at the very end, we'll just put centimeters squared. And that's how you do number 11. Number 12 is a little bit more difficult. It's not that much, just a little bit, right? Because this is real straightforward. They just say find the area. So you put in a 1/2, put in the A. They tell you the A, the apothem, so that makes it super easy. The only thing you had to figure out was the perimeter. And the perimeter isn't really not that hard. It's 11.8 times 5. And you stick it in, multiply them, boom, you're done. Everybody writing this down? I mean, these are homework problems. I'm doing 1, 2, 3 homework problems for you, okay? Showing all the work and everything, all right? So you should be doing the same. You should be writing it down. If you didn't do it, write it down. I mean, it'd been nice if you did do them. But if I'm going to show you how to do them, I would write them down. All right. Oops. Let's get rid of some of this. Let's get rid of this. All right. Those angles still are the same on this problem. So you're good with that. All right. Number 12. Number 12 is a little bit trickier. It says find CM. Remember what we said CM was? It was the apothem, wasn't it? Now they're going to give you different numbers, so you can't use that 11.8, you can't use that 10 on number 12. This is number 12. All right? But you can use the angles if you need to. I don't even think you need to. Let's see. Find CM if the pentagon's area is 125 square feet. So they actually tell you the area this time. They don't ask for the area, they give you the area. And it's 125 square feet. And they tell you VW. All right, so VW, that's one of the sides. We'll take a look at that in a second. It's 8.5 feet, 8.5 feet. And they want you to find CM. Okay? So let's go over to the picture. And let's put some stuff in there. Well, you know the area, all right? And they tell you VW. Right? VW is this one right here, 8.5. And you could have made an apothem up to here, but we already made the apothem right there. So what is ZY? What is, actually, we don't even care. This is 8.5. What are all the sides? 8.5, okay? So we could find the perimeter, couldn't we? You don't even have to write them all in there. I don't know why I started that, but I did, all right? So let's write down a little formula. We already talked about it. What is the area equal to? Well, in general. 1/2. Right, there you go. So there's our formula. So we're going to plug some stuff in that we know. This really is not much more difficult than the last one we did. Okay, it's almost about, there's one little tiny thing you got to do that's a little different. So let's plug some stuff in. What do we know? Do I know the area? Yeah, they told us it's 125, so I'm going to put it in. 125 equals 1/2 times the apothem. Do you know the apothem? No, you don't. Okay, that's what you're trying to solve for. It says find CM, find the apothem. So I'm just going to keep that in A right there for apothem. You okay with that? What about the perimeter? Well, they don't really tell you the perimeter, but you can find the perimeter. Let's put it down here. Perimeter equals. How do I find the perimeter of this thing? You got it. 8.5 times 5. 42.5? Okay, good. Thanks. Saves me the trouble. All right, so what do we do with that 42.5? Put it in for perimeter. 42.5. Now we got to do something though, okay? Here's where it gets a little tricky. That was pretty easy. Okay, what we've done so far was kind of the same as what we did on that last problem. But now, what do we have to solve for? We have to solve for that a. So your algebra is just a little bit different. You got to do a little bit of algebra. On the other one, you didn't have to do any algebra. You just plugged everything in, multiply together, boom, you're done. This one, you got to get a by itself. All right? In fact, let me just make this a different color. Is that all right? So it pops a little bit. There we go. All right, so that's what I want to solve for. I want to solve for a. So what do I have to get rid of? The 42.5 and what else? And the 1/2. Let's do the 1/2 first. Okay? How do I get rid of a fraction that's being multiplied? I could divide, but then I'd have to divide by a half. Dividing by a half is weird. So instead of dividing by a half, look what I can do. I can multiply by what? A 2. Why can I do that? Because multiplying by the reciprocal is the same thing as dividing. Because look what happens. The 2 and the 2 cancel, don't they? So I got rid of that 1/2. But what do I got to do over here now? I got to multiply this by 2 over there. All right, so that was a little bit tricky for you if you're not up to speed on your algebra. So the 2 and the 2 cancel. So what's this? 2 times 125. What if you double 125? What do you get? 250. Good. So that's 250 equals a times 42.5. Now the next step's pretty easy. All right, what do we do here to get a by itself? No, not subtract. It's being multiplied. You got to divide by 42.5. And you come over here and you divide this by 42.5. All right, let's put that into a calculator. I'm not doing that in my head. So 250 divided by 42.5, and that gives you about 5.88. Okay, we'll round it to 1 decimal place. So this really, a, I'm going to put approximately 5.88. But if I round it to 1 decimal place, 5.9. Why do I put that little squiggly equal sign? It's approximately. That's right. It's not exactly 5.88 because that decimal keeps on going, okay? Gives you a weird answer. So it's approximately 5.9. This was in feet, so what's your apothem? It's in feet. It's not feet squared. You're not finding the area. You're just finding that length right there, and that length would be 5.9. And that's how you do it. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, I did record this, or I am recording it currently. So you can go back, look at it. Hopefully you wrote all that stuff down. Go back, look in your notes. This was a little tricky because of this right here. Okay, that was probably the hardest part for you guys anyway. It was probably the hardest part of this is just how do I get rid of that half? I multiply by the reciprocal or the inverse, which is multiplying by 2. That gets rid of it here. We got to multiply that side by 2. Then we divided both sides by 42.5. So those are a couple steps you didn't have to do on number 11. All right? We good with that? All right. Let me get you started on the next little section. So the next one is 14 to 21. All right, so 7.5b, we'll call it. So section 7.5b is numbers, what did I say, 14 to 21? Okay. I'm not going to do all of these. Okay, we'll do a couple of them. Let's do number 16. All right? Actually, 14, 15, and 16 are all pretty easy. Really, to 18. 14, 18 are pretty easy. Because it says find the area, and they give you one side, and they give you the apothem. So it couldn't really be any easier. So let's take a look at number 16. Let's do that one. They're all kind of the same. I'll do 16. I'm not going to draw the picture because you don't really need to. Okay, I'm just going to write what they give us. So they give us the apothem. If you're looking at 16, anybody got your book open? So it's 29 meters. And they give you the length of one side. Okay, they give you a side length, which is 24 meters. Everybody okay with that? So if you look in the book, look at the picture, all right, they give you the apothem. How do I know which one's the apothem? It's the one that's perpendicular, okay? So you look at the one that's perpendicular, that's 29, and then you look at one of the sides, it's 24. So they give you a picture, they put that stuff on there. I decided I'm just not going to write the picture, draw the picture. I'm just going to write down what they give us, all right? And what are they asking you to do? Find the area. It's really easy. Okay, the area is 1/2 the apothem times the perimeter. Now look what they give you. They give you the apothem already, don't they? So there's the 1/2. Let's put the apothem in there. That's 29. And you need to put the perimeter. Do I just put a 24 in for the perimeter? Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you this. This is pretty important, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is an octagon. So there's 8 sides. I needed to tell you that. That's why they drew the picture for you, all right? So it's a regular octagon, 8 sides. So how do I find the perimeter then? That's it, 24 times 8. Okay? And then you just plug it in a calculator. Let's put it in. How do we put in 1/2? What can you put in for 1/2 on your calculator? Make it real easy. You could divide it by 2, that's true. Or you can just put 0.5, all right? Let's put 0.5. It'd be the same thing. So 0.5 times 29 times 24 times 8. And that gives you 2784. And that is the correct answer. 2784. These are in meters, so this is area. So what should you write your answer in? Meters squared. And there you go. There's your work. Okay, this right there is your work. So when I say show your work, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, I want to see this right here. And then the rest is just calculator work. You can't really show that. But you just stick that in a calculator, you get this. It's pretty easy. So, like I said, 14 to 18 are almost identical to this. Just different numbers. They give you one side. Now, they're different polygons. The first one's a triangle. The next one's a pentagon. 16 was an octagon. 17 looks like how many is that? 7 sides, okay? 7's gone, okay, heptagon. And then 18 is a square, all right, 4-sided figure. But the math is pretty much the same on all of them. 19 to 21 is a little bit tougher. Let me just see. All right, let's do this. We got some time. You don't mind me doing your homework for you, do you? I didn't think so. All right. But I'm doing this to help you out. So hopefully you're not just copying it and you don't really understand what I'm doing. I hope. All right, let's see what they do here. They say it's a regular triangle, which means all the sides are equal, all the angles are equal. Yeah, you're right. On number 18, they don't give you a side, but they do give you the radius. So what would one of the lengths of the sides be? So from the middle to perpendicular to the side on number 18 is 4. So what is the whole length of one of the sides? It's 8, right? Because it's 4 to the other side, so the side is 8. So that's just one little extra thing you had to know with 18. Let's see. They put a bunch of stuff in here. I'm wondering if I need to draw all of that. You know what? I think I'm going to stop at 18. Okay? So I'm going to make a call here. So instead of the 21, let's just go to 18. Because 19, 20, and 21, I will not give you anything like that on a quiz. I think it's a little extra difficult. So I'll just have you do 14 to 18. Is that all right? Yeah. Look, and I already did 16 for you, so you only have to do 4 problems. And you got about 18, 19 minutes left, okay? So that's plenty of time. Get that done, 14 to 18. So tomorrow you're going to turn in 7.5A. So this is tomorrow. I'm going to collect them all at once. But make them 2 separate assignments, okay? 7.5A and 7.5B. I'll give you 5 points for each of those. And there you go. All right, so you got the rest of the time to work on it. And I hope you get it done.